Namaste and thank you so much. It's really an honor and privilege to be here, and I'm very happy to be talking especially about Indian spices. I'm very passionate about food, cuisine, and I think my love for Indian cuisine kind of brings me here. So thank you so much for joining. So a little bit about the context. As you know, India is a spice paradise. 75% of global spice production happens in India. And not just that, out of the 109 spices that have been kind of called out by the International Organization for Standardization, 75 spices are actually grown in India. So that's really the context, and that's why you will see that Indian food has so many spices, and that also makes our food flavorful. Every state in India pretty much has its own preferred set of spices. So the north is different from the south, and within the south also each state will have its own spices that it will regularly use for its cooking. And almost every household has what we call this masala dabba. I'm sure your house has it too. This is what we call our spice box. This has the spices that I use in my cooking pretty much on a daily basis. Let me share what I have in my spice box. Okay, so there are 7. So my spice box has turmeric, it has coriander, it has cumin. It also has whole cumin seeds. It has fenugreek seeds that I use very often. And then it has the powders for coriander and cumin. It also has mustard. So these are the spices that I use pretty much on a daily basis. You will also see this one, which is mango powder. So these are all powders of the whole spices, and I use them pretty much for all my daily cooking. Alongside, I also use asafoetida, which we call as hing. And we use this to temper our lentils and other, preparations. It is used in very, very small quantities, and it's a very good digestive. So I think, some of it kind of gives you a sense of where this is coming from. We also, in our households, make our own masalas, whether it's a masala for sambar or whether it is a masala for biryani. We will make our own kind of spices. We will grind them or blend them and kind of keep those ready for our special and regular dishes. So this is just a little bit on the context I wanted to share. In my kitchen, like I said, I have too many spices, too many to count. I have gotten some of them here. And I don't know if this is the right time, but if you could identify some of these, we can kind of get into some kind of an interaction on what spices you use. Okay, the mango powder gives a little tangy taste. So if you want to kind of give it a little sour.
What kind of
dishes, I use it in vegetable preparations. When I want a little, instead of lemon, I can use the mango powder. So wherever I want to use lemon, I can use mango powder.
I think that in your region has 2. This is turmeric.
Yes, this is the raw turmeric.
Nutmeg.
This is nutmeg, yes.
I'm not sure.
Fennel seeds. This one is asafoetida.
What is it?
So it's made out of a plant, dried. How do I say? How does it taste? It's got a little pungent, taste to it. And we use it in very, very small quantities, like just a pinch. It's both for the taste and also it's a digestive. So especially in our lentils, you can smell it if you like. Deep is the brand name, but asafoetida, we use it primarily. It's a good digestive. This is cardamom, and then there's a small one and the big one which we use in many of our biryani and other preparations. This is mace, whole mace. Call it Jaggery. It's mace. This here is carom seeds. Carom seeds, we call it ajwain. Again, a very good digestive, and we use it in many, many, many preparations. This is common. This is black sesame seeds. This here is a very different kind of cumin. It's cumin, but it's a different family. It's called Shahi Royal cumin, if I may. This is called kokum. This again provides a very tangy taste. So sometimes instead of tamarind, we can use this. And this is the dried version. There is also the wet version of this. This is a spice which is from the northern side of India, which is often found very close to the Himalayas. This is called faran or jambu. We use it in lentil preparations. It has a very onion kind of a taste. When you put it in the dals and lentils, it gives it a very nice flavor. Then I have here onion seeds, again used very often in our preparations. Nigella, they are called Nigella seeds, onion seeds. They look like black sesame, but the flavor is very different. When it comes to the context of why the spices, how do they help? One is flavoring the Indian cuisine. But I think there is some context needed here, and that's really around our scriptures and essentially Ayurveda. And Ayurveda really says you are what you digest. I know in some cultures it's you are what you eat, but at the end of it, really what you are is also what you are able to digest. And Ayurveda, while it's really not, it's not a medical science, it's really a knowledge of longevity, a knowledge of life. If I am to kind of literally translate Ayurveda, Veda standing for knowledge and Ayur standing for life or longevity. So it's a knowledge of life, knowledge of longevity. And there are many, what shall I say, common sayings about what Ayurveda preaches or says. But I think one thing which stood out for me is when the diet is wrong, then the medicine is of no use. When the diet is correct, then medicine is of no need. And I think while, what you eat, whether it's veggies, fruit, whatever else, is on the one side, I think how you flavor it, what spices you use, will kind of balance out the typical 5 tastes that, we all kind of are acquainted with, which is sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. And really a balanced meal will give you all these tastes. And really, where do these tastes come from? Yes, one would be the taste of the preparation itself, but a lot of it will come from the spices. Of course, there's a lot of background around what body type should use, what type of food and what type of, so I'm not going to go into that, obviously. But suffice it to say that the spices will complement those tastes, right? For example, cinnamon or jaggery will complement the sweetness, right? The sweetness comes from cinnamon or will come from jaggery. The dry mango powder or tamarind will give you that sour taste. The mustard or even the chili will give you that pungent taste. Fenugreek seeds, which I have here, will provide the bitter aspect of the food, and then ginger will also kind of give you that. The asafoetida that you see here provides that astringent kind of. So in a way, the spices have a very balanced way of changing or complementing your meal to make it salty, sour, sweet, pungent, astringent, and bitter. And you need all of these for a good balanced meal. So some uses of spices, of course, it gives color and flavor to our food. A lot of them we use to make pastes. Like, for example, the mustard seeds. I have the black mustard. I also have the white mustard seeds. And when you make a paste of them, you can use them to marinate, to, do many things like marination and even creating curries and so on. They help digest. A lot of them can be used as mouth fresheners, especially cardamom is a mouth freshener. Many of them are also used for home remedies, and I will share some of them with you. Again, please note that none of this is medical, so if you want to use it, you can, use your discretion. But these are some home remedies that for common things that can be used, and of course cosmetic, right? I mean, whether it's turmeric, especially saffron, they are also used for the skin and so on. So some of these I will share, but if you have any questions up until now, if you can please ask. The white mustard seed is a little more pungent than the black. I think spices are bought in smaller quantities because we keep using them in our daily preparation. So, but any beyond a few months and they start to kind of, you won't get the same taste as it was when you first opened that packet. So yes, spices that I buy really small in quantity, and then every time I kind of go back and refill. I grind them myself, but I think it's very personal, choice. Some families will buy it off the shelf, but I like to make my own
Is
mixes.
it more fresh? If we grind?
Yes, if you grind it at home, it's more fresh, plus you're not using any preservatives. I'm sure there must be some preservative or the other in a bottle. But if they are fresh and I grind them, and I know that, I've not added anything that I shouldn't, and then they stay fresh longer. Sometimes I refrigerate the ground spices. When I grind them and I have, I put them in the bottle, I refrigerate it. So it stays in the refrigerator. I think it stays longer. Okay, so this is very personal to me. Of course, I use spices in my food, but I also powder fenugreek seeds and cinnamon, and I consume it with warm water in the morning. But again, this is for me. Doesn't mean that everyone should be doing it, but this is something that works for me. I also add asafoetida in warm water and drink it. It doesn't taste very nice, honestly. And I'm drinking it each time I feel thirsty. I have this kind of in the water, and I have it. I also have turmeric, pepper, lemon, ginger in warm water. It just works for me. And then especially turmeric, pepper or saffron in warm milk is what I have especially before going to bed. It works. It's a great sleep inducer. In Ayurveda, every ingredient has certain characteristics. So, and I don't want to get too much into it, but there are some which are sleep inducing. There are others which keep you active and up, and then there are others which are called balanced, more balanced. Saffron and warm milk, turmeric and warm milk, these are kind of, when they come together, they are more kind of inducing calmness, inducing sleep. So kind of that's because each of those ingredients have certain characteristics, which again has been documented in Ayurveda, but yes, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes if you're stressed, it may not. When you have turmeric and then you add pepper, it activates the turmeric, making it easier for digestion. But again, these are things that we've learned, right? We've learned over the years. I don't know if there is anything scientific, but yes, this is what my mom told me, and this is what I have learned as I have grown up. So yeah, there are so many, because each ingredient has its characteristics. On the cosmetic side, I think saffron in aloe or coconut oil for the face. This is something that I do also, not that I have a glowing skin, but this is what I do. And then fenugreek seeds in coconut oil is also something that works. Okay, I have put in some home remedies. Okay, these have worked for me. But again, please use your discretion. Especially, let's say, for common cold. Cloves, black pepper, cinnamon, ginger, and tulsi, which is the holy basil leaves. This works for common colds. For cough, again, this is a measured recipe. I'm not sharing the measured recipes because it gets down to, okay, how much of cloves, how much of this, how much of. But these are spices that have helped for these common issues that we may have. Whether it's body ache, warm milk with turmeric, I think that has those characteristics, has those qualities. Similarly, sesame oil seasoned with carom, and I have carom seeds here. These are the carom seeds. We call it ajwain. And these kind of work well for body ache. For fever, long pepper, so what we normally use, black pepper, but in the Indian context, there's also long pepper, which looks very different. It's a long, black kind of a thing with little small peppers, it looks different. So this is also something that is used for fever. Again, there are so many ways to use these spices, but fenugreek seeds, carom seeds, soaking them overnight and then chewing them on empty stomach has worked. Dry roasting of fenugreek seeds, carom and cumin seeds, and grinding to powder also works. In the context of digestion, again, pepper, black pepper, carom, cumin, all of these work. And probably this is one of the reasons that, the recipes that we use in our daily preparation, we add these by default. So I think somewhere in the recipes itself, our recipes are taking care of, this needs to be digested, this is how it has to be, and, a kind of the recipe itself becomes a way to, maintain oneself. So probably, I'm guessing, because, the home remedies are also talking the same. Some other things which is really on hyperacidity, vomiting. Again, vomiting, I don't know what kind of vomiting, but it works with cardamom seeds. And these, you can, if you want, you can taste. They are a mouth freshener. They kind of, leave you with a nice taste in the mouth. So we often use this in our dessert preparation. The cardamom, powdered cardamom, you will see that we use it in almost all our dessert preparations. Luckily, in the Indian kitchens, turmeric is it's the most handy, right? We use it in every preparation. So, it's just there. So that's just me. Okay, but I feel that there are so many spices in India that I don't think we've kind of gotten a hang of all of the spices that are there in India and how we can use them. Some that I have discovered along the way. One is faran, which I just shared, this one, which is from the northern parts of India and also used very extensively in Nepal. This makes my lentil preparations very different than what I have normally, used with the usual stuff. So here's, this is a spice that I've discovered along the way. There is another spice which is very much used in preparing a mix in the west of India, which is dagar fool. Actually, the literal translation means that it is the flour of the stone flour. But again, this is something that is very commonly used just by itself in the preparation of a masala mix, which, for me, I discovered it along the way. This spice, which is kokum, is very rarely used, but I use it very often in my lentil preparations. But it's likely that many don't know this spice.
You said it's like tamarind.
It's like tamarind. Yeah. And then I must share this spice. It looks like carom seeds, but it's not. And it's very commonly used in the eastern side of India, those preparations. It's called radhuni. It makes lentil preparations, it takes them to a different level. So, and just a small amount of it. Again, all the spices, we use very, very small amounts for, making the cuisine flavorful. So these are some that I have discovered along the way. And then the more I read about cuisine, especially cuisines of northeast of India, I feel that there's so much that we don't know, or they're so underrated. We don't know of them even. And while I was doing just some research on, what is it in the northeast of India that, maybe I let me see what's there. And there are so many that, have not even been explored, I would say. And those cuisines are still so regional that, I have not used these. But apparently Jayur is like a chili. It makes it a very spicy kind of preparation. Perilla seeds, again, I don't know what perilla seeds are, but they are used very extensively in the cuisine of Northeast. And then the ginger, which you see here, is again very different from the ginger that we normally use. So I think in India itself, there is this whole unexplored cuisine. There's this whole unexplored set of spices that at some point in time I would love to explore, discover, and then I'll bring it back to all of you.
New Jersey.
Back to New Jersey, yeah. So that's about the spices. Any questions before I move on to the second part of my presentation?
The kokum that you mentioned, I think it's available in southern part as well.
It is.
It's a different name though. And then what they do is they take it out and they soak it in water and boil it. They make a paste out of, like a tamarind paste, and it's used in seafood. And it takes away the infection, what is it with that. So I was like thinking, oh, I've seen that. So
You've seen it. So there is also, this is the dry version, there's also a wet version of kokum. Okay, so that brings me to the second part of my presentation, and that is for the Greater Gur. Gur is, pun intended, Gur is Jaggery in Indian. So the title was suggested by my husband, and it's a pun on for the greater good. Good is, like I said, Jaggery, and in a way, I wouldn't say it's an alternative to sugar. Let me just leave it at that. I don't know if it's a better alternative or a worse alternative, but it's an alternative to sugar. And I'll talk about it. I've got Jaggery as well, so I can also show it to you. Again, I must spend some time on Jaggery. Given that India is such a large country, Jaggery is extracted from different sources, right? I mean, in let's say in the south, it comes from date palm. In the east, it comes from dates. There's also a liquid version of it, which is available only in December. Yeah, it's taken out from the tree and it's available only during that period of time. It is used to prepare some amazing desserts. It's available in liquid form in the east of India from, the state is called West Bengal. And I have 2 or 3 types of jaggery which I will also share with you. But the source of the jaggery is also different. And so the taste is different, the taste it imparts to food or the dessert is also very different. So why did I kind of, choose jaggery for desserts? One, of course, much of the world's production of jaggery happens in India. And it's really an ingredient that we use very often. Even in our savories, whether it's our curries, sambars, we will use jaggery. Also, it's a digestive. It is very often used after a meal. But in India, we also characterize foods as hot and cold. So jaggery is hot, and therefore usually we have it only in the winters. Yeah, so if you look at the way we classify food, for example, some of the millets, especially we say these millets are hot, so you have it in winter, these millets are cold, have them during summer. And I think that's why, we need to be a little careful about what we eat and at what time of the day, what season, and so on and so forth. All that becomes like, very, very important in the whole Indian cuisine.
And also vary by region.
Yes, also, yes. By and large, but for example, jaggery is hot. And, we know, and that's why you will see that a lot of the jaggery preparations happen really spring and before. Whether it's, those sesame, we call them laddus, I don't know what else to call them, but sesame truffles and so on. They will have, we kind of make them during a certain season. So yes, they're seasonal. It's likely that some places are warmer than others, some places are colder than others, and I think we are able to kind of figure that out. But yes, if they're characterized as warm, they're warm. Millets, I'm forgetting what it's called in English, but it is called ragi in Indian. And that is it's a cold millet. So we have it during summers. Or it's the warm millet and we have it in winters. Yeah, whatever. So, but yes, we characterize these, and therefore they define when they are eaten, which season they are eaten, so on. So for the greater good, I think, some context is required. Like I said, I wanted to make desserts, but I wanted an alternative to sugar, and I thought, jaggery is a good alternative, and I used that. So I have 150 desserts, and I have tried to make this book a representation of India, tried to kind of cover the length and breadth of the country, from north, that is from Kashmir, to south, Kerala, and then, from the west, right up to the northeastern states. So I've tried to make it a representation of all of the regions in India. This book was launched, and the foreword is by Chef Vikas Khanna. He is a Michelin star chef. I had the opportunity to do kind of a cooking challenge with him, which he kind of was the judge. And he's recently also, this is like a little marketing, I think, for him. He's recently opened a new restaurant in New York City called Bungalow, which apparently is doing really well. But yeah, he is a celebrated chef. And I'm lucky that I got the opportunity to kind of have the foreword written by him and also this book launched by him. But in a way, it's a tribute to my father because he was a very health conscious gentleman and, right up to his, final days, he was extremely healthy. I never saw him have a single medicine. I mean, I think his entire life, because of yoga and Ayurveda, I think he lived a very, very healthy life. And I think I saw him replace sugar with jaggery many times, and I was like, okay, I don't know why he does this, but now I can see that there was some logic perhaps. And it's also true that it's not merely a replacement. A number of desserts in India traditionally use jaggery. So while, yes, we may want to replace sugar with jaggery, but traditionally there are so many desserts in India, especially the combination of coconut and jaggery is like legendary, I think. And so many such desserts which have traditionally used jaggery. So I also wanted to explore that and kind of, make that part of the book. And like I said, these 150 desserts are representative of India. So while I have put up the whole recipe here, but barfi is a very iconic dessert in India. Iconic, and it is prepared primarily with sugar. Sugar syrup is what we use. I make it many times, especially, for all our celebrations, you will see this. It's that diamond shaped. I don't know if you've seen, they're made from cashew or from almond, but those diamond shapes, those are barfi, and I have got it here. I've made it with jaggery. And those of you who have tasted it when made with sugar, and the taste is comparable. Of course, all of the preparations have nuts and all of them have wheat flour, so please be mindful if you have any allergies, but I'd love for you to try it and see if how jaggery kind of can be option. Laddu or a trufle is again an iconic dessert in India, and again in this case I have really replaced sugar with jaggery. In the previous one, which is, the barfi, it's a little more difficult because you have to make a single string consistency syrup. It is a little difficult with jaggery, but yet I have managed. So do try and tell me how you find it. And then you'll be surprised, but even cookies, and I have got them, and I have made them with jaggery. Using wheat flour and jaggery, I mean, they taste fantastic. Like I said, please do taste and tell me how you find the desserts. Again, all of them have nuts and all of them have gluten. So just be mindful of your own allergies. And the ingredients are also here, as you can see. In fact, you have the whole recipe here. So please be mindful of what you cannot have or you do not want to taste or so on. I do want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Melissa for giving me the opportunity. I feel very proud to be representing my country and my cuisine, and I'm very happy that I could share some of that with all of you. I do want to invite you to see the jaggery first because I have spoken so much about it. So this jaggery, I have got it from the Indian store. This is in powdered form, and jaggery really comes in many colors. The darker, the better. The darker is less processed, the lighter is processed. So this is darker. And I have used this, and this is not marketing for this guy, but I'm just saying that powdered jaggery is what I have used in my recipes. But really, jaggery comes in blocks like this. So this is a block of jaggery, and this has come from West Bengal. That's where my husband is from. So when he went to India, he got this for me. This is made from dates. And then this is from the south of India. My friend, she knows that I love to cook, and she got this for me. Again, this is date palm. So it's very easy to kind of crush and kind of make desserts out of it. This just made my life easy. I grate it off, or I use the mortar pestle. I use the pestle and then kind of break it off. And like I said, there is the liquid jaggery, which is called Nolen Gur, which comes from, again, West Bengal, available only for a certain period in time. And that's just divine. So that's about jaggery. And then I'd really love for you all to taste what I have for all of you.